The day I left the Northwood estate, Paul was leaning against the doorframe. He watched me pack, a smirk playing on his lips. "What's this?" he drawled. "Finally realized that even having my child wasn't enough to make me marry you? Decided he's useless now, so you're not even going to take him with you?" Before I could answer, Leo, who had been eavesdropping just outside the door, crept into the room. He carefully tipped his piggy bank upside down, pouring a handful of coins and crumpled bills into my palm. "Mommy, you have to take care of yourself, okay?" he said, his small voice earnest. And can you please promise you'll never ever come back?" He looked up at me, his dark round eyes brimming with an almost unbearable hope. "Auntie Claire said she'll only be my new mommy if you leave for good." After he said it, he just blinked at me, the anticipation practically vibrating off him. Paul's voice dropped, a low warning. "Leo, is that what they teach you at school? How to speak to your mother?" Leo's head drooped, his lower lip jutting out in a pout. "But last time when Auntie Claire asked if you liked mommy, you said no, daddy. So I don't really like her that much either. If she wants to go, just let her go." His words no longer had the power to wound me. Not anymore. A week ago on his 6th birthday, he'd thrown a tantrum, insisting he wanted to celebrate with Paul and Claire. In that moment, something inside me shifted. The desperate, grasping fear I'd lived with for so long simply vanished. I had no desire to stop him. Later that evening, I walked past the restaurant. Through the window, I heard him proudly telling the violinist that Claire was his mother. My heart remained perfectly still, a calm, flat sea. I was kneeling on the floor, packing, so my eyes were level with his. I closed my hand around the money he'd given me and gave a small, firm nod. "All right," I said, my voice quiet. "I didn't call myself mommy. I promise you, I will never come back to this house, and I'm not your mother anymore. You're free, Leo." He seemed stunned that I'd agreed so easily. He stared at me for a beat, his expression blank. Then his face split into a wide grin. "Yay, Auntie Claire is going to be my mommy." He bolted from the room, shouting that he was going to call Claire and tell her the good news. I packed the last of my clothes, zipped the suitcase shut, and stood up. Paul had been silent this whole time, but as I moved to pass him, his hand shot out, clamping around my arm. His eyes were half-lidded, his expression unreadable. "Jenny, not liking you doesn't mean I hate you." His voice was low, threaded with a faint, rising irritation. "I've gotten used to you over the years. What's all this drama about? Do you really have to leave?" I wanted to say something, but it all felt pointless and melodramatic. Instead, I just pulled my arm free. "Take care of Leo," I said. I dragged my suitcase out of the house. It was a long walk from the mansion to the main gate of the private community. The weather mirrored my mood. A bitter wind whipped fallen leaves from the pavement, slapping them against my legs. It would have been easy to look pathetic, to feel small and defeated, but I never once looked back. I had already rented a small apartment and found a job. Drawing on my old degree, I'd been hired as an instructor for a children's art program. On my first day, I walked into the staff office to find a few of my new colleagues huddled around a little girl. "Rosie, darling, does your uncle like sweets? Oh, and what's his type? What kind of girls does he like? Rosie, sweetie, is he picking you up tonight?" The little girl's face was a mask of stoicism. "You said you wanted to talk to me about my artistic style." The teachers exchanged awkward glances. "If there's nothing else, I'm going back to the classroom," she announced. She turned, saw me, and gave a polite, "Hello, miss," before walking out, her gaze fixed straight ahead. My new colleagues were friendly enough. After showing me the ropes, they started gossiping about the girl. "You probably don't know, but her uncle is Dennis Harris. He and Paul Northwood are basically tied for the title of Northwood's most eligible bachelor." Well, they were. I heard Paul's back with his first love, Claire Somerset, now that she's returned from overseas. So I guess that just leaves Dennis. Hearing Paul's name again, I felt nothing, as if they were talking about a stranger. But Dennis Harris? I sighed silently. He was Paul's biggest rival, and he'd never made a secret of his contempt for me. Every time we'd cross paths, he'd hit me with some kind of insult. Pathetic. A picture of Paul and Claire kissing is trending online, and you don't even make a peep. What do you even get from being with him? A ring? A title?